The hell did that come from? That was awesome! No, really, let's just be grateful that this worked out, because they were going to keep taking swings at building a Spider-Man cinematic universe until one of them worked, and let's just be glad it's not Venom, eh? His name is Miles Morales. He got bitten by a radioactive spider, and I'm pretty sure you know the rest. No, really, Peter Parker's not your lead for a change. The new kid's having a go. And this animated feature film origin tale sees him crossing paths with the various different spider people of the various timelines of the Marvel Universe when the Kingpin starts messing around with a giant black hole machine so that he can bring doppelgangers of his dead family like through from one world into ours. And obviously he can't be allowed to do that. There'll clearly be like world-ending consequences because Gwen isn't there. And so Miles has to learn how to become the ultimate Spider-Man with the aid of the best possible teachers he could ask for. Literally every other Spider-Man of their universe. So, yeah, cue the clip.
Oh, look who's back. Yo, what's going on, bro?
Hey, I'm just walking by. How you doing? Seguro que sí.
Yo, Miles, you good at earthquake last night?
Oh, what you talking about? I slept like a baby last night.
How's that new school?
So easy.
We miss you, Miles.
You miss me? I still live here. Wait, you miss me?
Look, for all the stick the DCU gets for like leaning really heavily into the supposed like grimdark sensibilities of the sort of comic book movie subgenre, it's strange that we as a film-going culture kind of fail to highlight kind of just how widespread that idea really has become. Like, we know, like, we all seem to agree that Batman's kind of been running to the ground a little bit at this point, and you know, with his various shades of black and what seems to be this this weird millennial predilection for him like smacking heads into walls. But they never seem to focus, we never seem to focus like as a culture on how like needlessly bleak the bulk of Spider-Man stuff seems to have become. Like, Homecoming was a little bit more of a step like towards the sort of, you know, nice, colourful reality of the Spider-Man story, but you know, think back otherwise, and kind of what you recall from the last 2 decades of Spider-Man movies is mostly going to be something set at night and mercilessly grim, which is kind of weird when you consider it's Spider-Man, right? So, enter this animated effort, and this seems to have been constructed just entirely to just like address that genre bent. You know, the whole idea that Spider-Man is a daytime character to go out and have fun, and this not only takes shots with like that weird mentality which we like consider the comic book genre, but it also gets in a few like really deeply piercing jabs at like other conventions of it too. Like, you know how we all like seem to agree there's far too many origin stories in these things now. This movie is going to lampoon the hell out of that. You think there's too many crossover characters or like references to world building and mythology? Yeah, literally what this thing is built on, like Lego movie style. I mean, it packs in like not one but several really prominent, like narratively essential but horrifying deaths. It gives the characters like a moment to actually grieve them, and then after that it just goes like right back to having fun with itself. Like, that is a great balance. The big key to all this, though, is a sort of like more youthful and energetic lead than like any Spider-Man we've ever seen like depicted before. I mean, this is the cinematic debut of Miles Morales. He's been around in comics for a little while, but like kind of a little bit past my time. But it's hardly a new idea for like a superhero to have like a replacement version of themselves, like, you know, it happens in comics all the time. Like, you know, Green Lantern Hal Jordan gives way to like Kyle Rayner and John Stewart, and Tony Stark has Ry Williams, and you know, people like that, like, you know, number of Robins have been, etc. This marks the first time that one of these seems to have actually been given like a proper movie, though, and he's a decidedly different like figure to Peter Parker, which makes for, you know, a nice change. You know, it feels like they have genuine weight behind him because they kind of stop to give him a lot of depth. There's no sort of like melodrama really to it. I mean, yeah, there is some like internal character conflict, but it's dealt with in a really real and human way, and then deals it against really bonkers stuff. I mean, this is a kid who just like wants to run to Starbucks so he can get his paper done on time because the Wi-Fi's down at home. You know, he's like a really contemporary Spider-Man with like really fantastically sharp writing from Phil Lord, who's I think also one of the producers, and Rodney Rothman, and it's one of those where it's brilliantly balanced so that it never becomes sort of patronizing in that way that some of these can be. Like Wreck-It Ralph did that a little bit sometimes, like recently with that sequel. I mean, Tom Holland's Spider-Man's like really likable and charming, but this kid's just a little badass in a hoodie. I love him. And he's brought to life by this this pretty charming performance from Shameik Moore, who's in that movie Dope. I didn't quite get to see that one. He's playing it impressively young, actually. He seems a lot older than the character, and he spearheads this like pretty terrific ensemble of like supporting Spider people. And you get like not one, but two Peter Parkers. You get like Chris Pine, who's going for the sort of deliciously Ace Rimmer, like, you know, Peter Parker Prime kind of thing. And then you get Jake Johnston, so Nick from New Girl, showing up as a, let's just say decidedly less Prime Peter Parker. Haley Steinfeld's kind of the scene stealer, though. She turns up as this jaw-droppingly badass character, Spider-Gwen, a little after my time, to be honest, but loved what I saw. I want to watch a whole movie of that. Apparently that's a thing. Nicolas Cage goes full James Cagney as Spider-Man Noir. So fun. A little bit Adam West, as always. And Liev Schreiber does his best James Caan impression as literally the most visually and physically terrifying depiction of the Kingpin yet. There's also like a giant Japanese Spider-Mech and a talking cartoon pig, but if you don't know what those are already, just from those descriptions, then I'm gonna save the surprise for you, because like I didn't really know the origin stories on those kind of things, and yeah, fun. So it's not like content with just, you know, giving us this kind of universe-hopping meta tale. They also like do other stuff with it. So you got three directors, Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, Rodney Rothman, also co-wrote this. And it's like I say, they take on a lot of like really heavy ideas and deal with them quite well. They take on that sort of American anime fusion that like Ultimate Spider-Man and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have done on like TV the past few years, and that's kind of the base for it. And then they also like inject like millennial ennui and familial noir. Like they add a kind of this great urban family drama to it, which was quite cute. And visually, there's like a sizable debt owed to like that 2003 MTV animated Spider-Man show. You might have forgotten. If you did forget, then remind yourself. Spider-Man may have invented EDM. Just saying, just a thing. We should probably give it like props for that. But look, this never forgets to be its own man, though. It never fails to deliver a very, very specific message, and they have a way of dealing with that message that might bring more than a couple of Marvel fanboys to absolute tears. It did me by the time this is done, and yeah, just stick around mid-credits, all I'm saying. This is, like I say, there's jaw-dropping animation, there's an absolutely pulse-pounding soundtrack. I mean, you can easily sell Into the Spider-Verse just on those, but what's really going to make it for that kind of like Monday morning around the water cooler, coffee machine type discussion fodder is the way that it deals with, you know, quirk and humor and depth, all three of which it sort of smashes together and manages to create something wholly of its own, but like, you know, kind of weirdly grounded. It's one of those movies like Teen Titans Go to the Movies. That was this year as well. Like, it's one of those like that could have been easily the greatest superhero event in decades in live action form, you know, if you'd find a way to do it in live action form. But as it is instead, it kind of uses its animated base as like just the propulsion to do something even bigger and badder than you ever could. And it's just got the right scope and the right energy to absolutely make that rock. So it's not only a great animated movie, it's a terrific Spider-Man movie as well. Might actually be the straight up best Spider-Man movie to date. And that's before you even get into the discussion of whether or not the whole, you know, fourth wall, you know, meta blast thing that's actually managed to make it out Deadpool, which there's a serious argument to say it might have. I mean, for all of their want of trying, like Sony has finally managed to make one of their attempts to set up a Spider-Man cinematic universe actually work. And who'd have thunk it with this one? Like, no Sinister Six required, no more My Pal Venom, you know, just good old-fashioned animated Spider-Man. And it rocks! It really does. It's like they were just told to just knock this out of the park and given no other directive. Turns out that actually works. Hell, I mean, it was worth Amazing Spider-Man 2 just to get to this. I mean, it was almost worth Venom. And if we actually do get to see that whole Spider-Gwen movie they've promised, then I might even say it was worth suffering through Spider-Man 3. So meet Miles Morales, he is your new Spider-Man, and he is awesome as hell. Give me more. So, sticking with the whole let's do heights vibe from the whole Into the Spider-Verse thing, National Geographic's Free Solo is coming to cinemas this week too. This one's like a profile piece on the climber Alex Honnold, and it looks sort of specifically at him through the vantage of him trying to free climb El Capitan in 2017. And I'm going to save you some suspense just in case you're thinking, no, he didn't die, that's not why we're getting this. But he's alive and well, he's just, he's alive and well, you psycho, stop asking. But, the documentary's not so much about that climb as it is sort of using it as this like anchor point through which to talk to all of his friends and family members, and so what makes someone who does something this insane actually tick. It's not the most involving story in the world. I mean, that's largely because Honnold himself doesn't kind of do himself any favors in the hippie douchebag department, but the actual filming of it is incredible. Documentary maker Elizabeth Vassar-Hayes teamed up with pro climber Jimmy Chin to direct this, and boy does it show. I mean, really gripping stuff to be found in literally a dude climbing a rock face and monologuing over the top of it. As a profile piece, it's pretty well executed too. It's just not aimed at the most likable guy in the universe. I mean, can't be helped. I mean, not all achievers are among history's most decadent flowers, way of the world. 3 stars from me though, just stunning to behold. It just doesn't really charm you, to be honest. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, rate, and review.